Meet Zeke. He's an old man living a quiet, unremarkable life with a companion most would call worthless, a slime named Fios. Fios helps Zeke survive by handling the town's garbage, but that just makes them easy targets for the local kids, who mock him as the old garbage guy. While some boast they could easily crush a creature like Fios, Zeke ignores the noise and retreats to the only place he feels at peace. In the silence of his home, Zeke shares tea with his little friend, admitting that while Fios is cute, he deeply envies those who have someone they can actually talk to. As the years weigh heavy on his joints, Zeke holds Fios close, whispering a heartfelt thank you to the only loyal friend he's ever known. But as he looks at the slime, a wave of regret hits him. He wonders if he spent too long ignoring Fios' true potential and failing to understand him. With a tired smile, he makes a promise for a tomorrow they might not even have. To be true friends and finally talk more. As Zeke drifts into a deep sleep, Fios remains by his side, a silent witness to the end of a lonely journey. Till then, BAM! A brutal kick to the head shatters the silence. A voice screams that the officials are waiting at the square, and it's time to wake up. Dazed and confused, a much younger version of Zeke opens his eyes. He's back, but he has no idea where or when he is. Total shock. Zeke stares at the boy in front of him, convinced he's seeing Rano, but the boy corrects him. His name is Rao. It takes a moment for the truth to sink in. He's really back in the past, and this is Rao before he grew up. Panic sets in as Zeke asks about Fios, only to find that Rao has no idea who that is. Looking around at the ruined scenery and his own small childlike hands, Zeke is completely disoriented. What in the world is happening? Suddenly, a blast of magic commands the crowd's attention. An official announces a decree from the king. A new national law requires every single citizen, regardless of status, to form a contract with a magical creature. The ceremony is about to begin. While the other children buzz with excitement at the prospect of getting their own monsters, Zeke is frozen. He remembers this day. He remembers exactly how everything is about to unfold. The process begins, and one by one the children step into the massive magic circle. For the first girl, the result is modest. A small fluttering bird appears before her. But the moment is ruined by a sneering soldier who mocks the slum dwellers, calling their summons weak and useless. Zeke bristles at the insult, while others solemnly note that only the powerful nobles usually get the truly strong creatures. Despite the negativity, one voice argues that even the smallest beasts have their uses. Then, the moment Zeke has been waiting for finally arrives. He steps forward with a confident grin, determined to surprise everyone. Zeke closes his eyes and pours his heart into the call, seeking not just power but a pact of eternal friendship. Then the magic circle doesn't just glow. It erupts in a violent, blinding explosion of light. Out of the light emerges a beast that defies all expectations, a massive, ferocious tiger wreathed in crackling electricity. The crowd and the soldiers are left absolutely speechless. Panic replaces the silence as the official screams for everyone to get back, identifying the creature as a legendary Thunderlight tiger. He orders the soldiers to prepare their weapons in case it goes berserk, while Zeke simply stares up at the powerhouse he's just summoned. Chaos erupts as a massive, fluffy beast suddenly pounces, licking a boy's face with overwhelming enthusiasm. While the boy screams in shock, the surrounding guards can only stare in utter disbelief at the spectacle. The guards are floored. It's a Thunderlight tiger, a creature of legendary intelligence and beauty. The lucky kid is practically glowing with pride, rubbing it in Zeke's face before reminding him that he's up next. As Zeke steps onto the summoning circle, his mind races. He knows exactly what's about to happen because he's lived this moment once before. This time, he isn't looking for power. He's praying for a pact of true friendship. With a desperate cry, Zeke pours his soul into the call, vowing to protect and understand his partner this time around. A blinding light explodes from the circle, so intense that even the guards scramble to get ready for something massive. The light fades, but the result is a total shock to everyone watching. Instead of a legendary beast, a tiny, translucent, and utterly unremarkable slime floats in the air. While the world sees a failure, Zeke sees everything. He lunges forward and pulls the little creature into a crushing hug, tears streaming down his face as he whispers that they've finally met again. The atmosphere turns cold instantly. The crowd's admiration flips to pity and mockery, labeling the slime as the weakest creature in existence, and declaring that Zeke's fate is now permanently sealed in the slums. Back in the quiet of his room, Zeke stares at the squishy companion. A small pinch of pain confirms this isn't a dream, and he softly asks the one question that matters: is this really Fios? Overcome with emotion, Zeke apologizes for his past mistakes and vows to cherish his partner. He officially names the slime Fios, after the goddess of the slums, promising a future where they truly belong together. Just as he's settling in, a surprise visitor arrives. Zeke freezes in total shock, his heart leaping as he recognizes a face from his past. Is that really Annie standing right there? Out of nowhere, A girl lunges forward and wraps the boy in a sudden, crushing hug. He's completely blindsided, but she's practically vibrating with emotion, claiming she was just so overwhelmed even though they literally saw each other yesterday. While the others might see a useless creature, Zeke doesn't hesitate to defend his partner, insisting it's not the slime's fault. He looks at the little blob with genuine affection, admitting he's actually glad it was this one. The mood shifts as another friend eagerly asks to see their magical creatures. The display of power is immediate and overwhelming. One friend summons Centos, a massive, ferocious tiger, while the girl calls forth Shelfina, a magnificent phoenix that radiates brilliance. She beams with pride, asking Zeke if it's not absolutely awesome. Zeke can't deny the sheer prestige of a phoenix, but the conversation quickly turns to their futures. The other boy reveals they've been scouted as soldiers for the country, and with an advance payment already in their pockets, he's ready to live it up. The offer lingers in Zeke's mind. For someone from his background, a chance to serve as a soldier feels like a genuine opportunity to finally give something back to the world. While the girl expresses her desire to master healing powers, the atmosphere turns slightly pitying. Sensing their looks, Zeke snaps back with a confident grin, insisting he's already got a job lined up of his own. As he feeds his slime, Zeke's mind drifts back to the wreckage of his previous life, a cycle of jealousy, regret, and failure. But this time is different. He vows to make choices he won't regret, and to cherish the things he actually possesses. With a determined thumb up, Zeke promises to treat his friends to a feast once he makes it. He's no longer the lonely, broken man he once was. With Fios by his side, he finally feels he has the strength to prove everyone wrong. Back in the city, Zeke navigates the crowded streets of a commoner neighborhood, searching for something specific. He can feel the judgmental glares of the locals, but he's just grateful he's not in a noble district, where he'd be kicked out in a heartbeat. The memory of a blood-soaked future haunts him, a war of countless casualties where he ended up penniless and powerless. He refuses to be a victim again. To seize control of his destiny, his first mission is simple: earn enough money to escape the crushing grip of poverty. Armed with memories of a failed past and his loyal companion Fios by his side, Zeke steps forward with a new sense of purpose. He arrives at a workplace, where a woman greets him with a curious, "Hello, what can I help you with?" To welcome is short-lived as a stern man looks down on him, questioning what a little kid is doing in a place like this. Despite the woman's pity, the man coldly dismisses him as a broke kid, and tells him to go home, leaving Zeke to plead for a chance. But Zeke doesn't back down. Instead, he drops a bombshell about the noble's complaints that immediately catches the man's attention. Intrigued by the boy's sheer boldness, the man changes his tune and invites him inside for a cup of tea. Introductions are made. The boy is Zeke, and his slime buddy is Fios. The man reveals himself as Oren's Helfand, the chairman of the company, and immediately cuts to the chase. How on earth does a child know about the company's complaints? Well, Zeke just know about the complaints. He knows exactly why Helfand's sanitary services is failing. He lays out the gritty details of the slow, stinking garbage carriages and the growing protests from the nobility, proving he understands the waste management business far too well. Then comes the audacious proposal. Zeke offers to handle the most problematic district entirely by himself. Oren's is floored. That area normally requires 5 men. But Zeke argues that since the clients are already complaining, there's nothing to lose by letting him try. Zeke isn't doing this for free, though. He demands a staggering 3 times the usual pay if he succeeds, justifying the cost by promising to do the work of 5 men and free up the company's manpower. Skeptical but desperate, Oren's agrees to a trial run for the very next day. He points to a map of the district with the highest dissatisfaction rates, leaving the timing and procedure entirely in Zeke's hands. The warning is clear. If Zeke is too slow, the complaints will only get worse, and the consequences will be severe. But Zeke just laughs it off with total confidence, promising that he won't let the chairman down. The next day, just before dawn in the commoner block, Zeke prepares for the job wrapped in an oversized cloak. He recalls Oren's strict reminder that he's only there for the day, but as he settles in, he knows this cloak is exactly what he needs for the task ahead. A simple cloak is all it takes to hide the stench of poverty. Zeke follows his map toward the noble block, only to find a mountain of trash that mirrors the city's growing complaints. Time to bring out the secret weapon. Zeke drops Fios into the filth, and the slime immediately begins to devour the waste with terrifying efficiency. A race against the clock! Zeke cheers Fios on, urging the slime to finish the job before any residents catch them in the act. Fios has grown massive from the feast, practically swelling in size. Zeke has to wait for his partner to shrink back down before they can sneak off to the next spot. Another bin, another feast. Fios clears the area in record time, leaving Zeke laughing in disbelief at how fast his partner can eat. Mission accomplished. Zeke returns to report his success, leaving his boss completely stunned that he's back so early. Just as Zeke announces he's finished everything, a woman named Medwa bursts in, screaming that that kid hasn't even shown up yet. Attention snaps when Medwa admits the area is actually spotless. Mr. Orenz can't help but be impressed by the unexpected efficiency. The payoff is finally here. Zeke is absolutely beaming as he collects his payment and gets a request to return tomorrow. But the victory comes with a price. As the smell of grilled meat wafts through the market, a completely drained Zeke collapses against a wall. He is absolutely starving. Zeke is practically floating on air, celebrating a major win with Fios. With their pockets finally feeling heavy, he's convinced they're set for a while. He gives a little credit to Orenz for the idea of using Fios, but a realization hits him. His young body is light, but it's lacking the raw power he remembers. It's time to grind. He and Fios have a mountain of work ahead of them. The mood shifts to a tearful farewell as the group prepares to leave. While one girl is a complete emotional wreck, Zeke isn't leaving empty-handed. He's got one last surprise for his friend. Emotional chaos continues, with the girl practically begging him to return. While his friends wonder how he can be so unfazed, Zeke just smiles. He knows this isn't the end. He's still got gifts to hand out. A sword was too expensive, but a monster dismantling knife is the next best thing, and the boy absolutely loves it. But the sentimental moment is cut short by a stern voice. The time for goodbyes is over, and it's time to board. With a final wave, Zeke watches the carriages disappear into the distance. Now it's just him and Fios, and they've got a very important appointment to keep. Smile fades, replaced by a cold, hard determination. He remembers the crushing weight of depression and the wasted years of his first life, and he swears on everything that he will never let history repeat itself. The further north he travels, the more the law disappears. Zeke has to move fast to avoid trouble, searching through the grime for one specific person. He finally finds a lead and tentatively peeks inside. There he is, Golzai Obratian, a man who radiates raw power even while sitting still. Zeke calls out his name, stepping into the presence of a legend. The response is immediate and brutal. "Who the hell are you, brat?" But Zeke doesn't flinch, shouting his demand to be made a disciple. The result? A one-word rejection that echoes through the tent. Scram! The rugged man's refusal is absolute. He doesn't take disciples, and he certainly doesn't need money. But the moment a mysterious bottle is offered as payment, the man's entire demeanor shifts into pure shock. One sip of the alcohol and the man is in heaven, proving that some things never change regardless of the era. However, the bliss is short-lived as he turns to Zeke with a chilling warning. He's ready to endure anything, but Zeke had better be ready too. Driven by a desire to avoid a lifetime of regret, Zeke reveals the real reason for his desperation. A cheerful, red-haired girl he's chasing. This raw honesty strikes a chord with the master, who admits he knows exactly how it feels to pursue a woman. The deal is sealed. Golzai Obratian officially accepts Zeke as his one and only disciple. As Zeke collapses in relief beside his slime, he knows the real struggle is only just beginning. The training starts with a brutal twist. Zeke is blindfolded and forced to face a barrage of strikes. The goal is simple but grueling. Sense the mana flowing through the stick and dodge, or pay the price. As the attacks fly, a wave of nostalgia hits Zeke. He's done this before in his previous life, but his master isn't interested in memories, screaming at him for not putting enough power into his movements. Then it happens. With a sudden burst of intuition, Zeke successfully evades the strike, his face lighting up with the thrill of a hard-won victory. The triumph is instantly crushed. A sudden, unexpected blow sends Zeke crashing down, leaving him groaning in pain and complaining that the attack wasn't fair. Golzai reveals the trick. He never said there was only one stick. While he mocks Zeke for letting his guard down, he admits the boy's mana sense is actually decent, prompting Zeke to demonstrate his basic magic. Satisfied for now, Golzai dismisses him for the day, noting that his skills are impressive for a kid. Exhausted, Zeke returns home to a warm welcome and a waiting cup of tea. The first day of his new destiny complete. Orenz notices that Zeke has finally started training his mana sense, but the mood shifts instantly. A chilling warning follows. The north is dangerous, and more children have vanished into thin air. The news sparks a fire in Zeke, recalling the nasty bastards who prey on slum kids. He doesn't just stand by. He approaches Orenz with a proposal that could change everything. Suddenly, panic erupts as Lishker and Tommy burst in, Tommy trembling with tears. They deliver the devastating news. While playing at the haunted mansion, Kelly suddenly disappeared. Zeke doesn't hesitate for a second. He tells Orenz to watch the kids and bolts toward the northern district, leaving a bewildered Orenz shouting after him. This is more than a rescue mission. It's a chance to prove that he and his companion can handle any threat on their own. With a determined shout, Zeke vows to find Kelly, but the mission takes a sudden violent turn. One moment he's moving, and the next, he's slamming hard into the ground of a dark, oppressive place. Ouch. Oriented and confused, Zeke realizes he was ambushed from behind. The mana here is foul, choking his senses, forcing him to spark a small light fire just to see where he is. As the flickers, he spots two girls huddled together in the gloom. One of them looks up, her eyes widening in shock. She recognizes him. It's Kelly. She throws herself into his arms, sobbing with relief that her savior has arrived. Zeke holds her tight, confirming that this is exactly why he came. In comes the bombshell. The other girl introduces herself as Lindaran Arshunt Hagius. Zeke's brain practically shuts down. He's just rescued a member of the legendary Hagius family. The Hagius family was once one of the 4 great founding noble houses, but madness and tragedy cast them into the shadows. As the blonde girl pieces together the horror, she wonders if someone was lost in a devastating explosion during that dark incident. Trapped in a windowless void, the air is thick with dread. Zeke knows they have to move now, but the only exit is sealed tight with iron bars. And the eerie silence makes him wonder what happened to the other kidnapped children. The realization hits hard. They were saved for last, like dessert for some monster. Just as hope fades, Zeke calls out to Fios, summoning a simple slime that leaves the blonde girl completely baffled. Can a creature that pathetic really be their ticket out? Outlast only a second. With a sudden violent surge, Fios slams into the iron bars, dissolving the metal in a display of power that leaves the girls absolutely speechless. While the blonde girl is still reeling from the shock, they slip through the wreckage and head for the stairs. But as they flee, a cold, calculating eye watches them from the darkness, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They're almost there. The short-haired girl spots the exit and screams in relief, thinking they've finally made it. But the victory is short-lived. Zeke's instincts scream danger just as he yells for them to watch out. A massive wave of wood crashes through the air, slamming into them with brutal force. As the blonde girl is thrown back in terror, a chilling voice cuts through the chaos, wondering how they ever managed to escape. Out of the shadows steps a nightmare, the kidnapper himself. With a sadistic grin and wood bending to his will, the wood mage demands the shitty brats return to their cells. The exit is blocked, and the girls are paralyzed with fear. Fios launches a desperate body slam, but the mage just laughs, mocking the pathetic strength of a mere slime. But the laugh dies instantly. The impact is far more devastating than the mage expected, sending him flying back in a whirlwind of shock and rage. Seizing the opening, Zeke shouts for the girls to run for their lives. Total chaos erupts as a violent blast sends everyone flying. Amidst the debris, a terrified girl screams out for Zeke and Lindaran, barely clinging to consciousness. As things look bleak, Kelly unleashes a blinding flash of light. The armored brute is caught off guard, clutching his eyes in agony, giving Zeke the perfect window to make a break for it. The enemy is absolutely livid, roaring about impudent brats, but Kelly doesn't waste a second. She urges the other girl to call for help while Zeke disappears into the distance. Zeke manages to reach the injured girl, his voice laced with worry as he checks on her. He knows they're not safe yet, but he's betting everything on reaching the second floor to shake off those relentless roots. But the hunter isn't giving up. Even as strange roots lash out and entangle him, the man screams in rage, obsessively searching for the children who dared to defy him. Then, Zeke steps out of the shadows, wielding nothing but a simple fire iron. The man mocks his pathetic weapon, but Zeke's gaze is cold. He's only concerned that the girl made it out. With another captive already trapped in a cage, the man's patience finally snaps. He's done playing games, and he's more than happy to oblige Zeke's apparent death wish. But Zeke has a trump card. He channels every ounce of power into his staff, manifesting a terrifying, swirling void of energy. Dark Ball! The pressure is immense, and the darkness threatens to swallow everything. Zeke pushes past his limits, fighting through the strain with one singular thought. He can do this! And then the void erupts. The armored man's smugness vanishes instantly, replaced by pure, unadulterated terror as Zeke's devastating attack crashes down upon him. Oak unleashes a devastating dark ball attack, leaving his opponent absolutely floored. The bald man screams in disbelief, unable to comprehend how this brat just turned the tide. The impact is massive, sending the enemy spiraling backward in a blur of violence. Zeke barely has a moment to breathe before the chaos intensifies. But the victory is short-lived as a colossal sphere of darkness looms over him. Before he can react, Zeke is slammed back, his eyes wide with sudden terror. The enemy isn't done yet. With a sadistic smirk, the bald man demands the location of the girl, leaving a battered Zeke struggling to find his footing. Just as things look bleak, a blade flashes through the air and a powerful presence arrives. For the crime of hurting my disciple, I'll have you pay with your life. Zeke can only gasp in shock. His master has arrived. In a single blinding stroke, the master takes the enemy's head. But the horror doesn't end there. The body keeps moving, revealing tree rings in the neck. It wasn't a man. It was a wooden puppet. From the shadows, the real nightmare emerges. A jagged, monstrous creature lets out a chilling laugh, its presence filling the air with dread. A treant Pritting the master realizes, questioning if the enemy is fused with a magic beast. He clashes with the monster, but the sheer hardness of the creature's body is unlike anything he's faced. Realizing the danger, the master orders Zeke to save the girls and flee immediately. As the enemy boasts that his Morpha is uncuttable, the master summons his own powerhouse, Steeker. While the legendary beast Steeker lunges into battle, Zeke doesn't waste a second. He scoops up the girl and makes a desperate break for safety, leaving the clash of titans behind. Everything goes south in an instant. Zeke crashes violently into the ground, screaming in panic as he desperately calls out for Fios. A dazed blonde girl slowly wakes up to a nightmare. Seeing Zeke lying motionless on the floor, she can barely whisper his name in shock. Pure panic sets in as she screams for Zeke, but the scene shifts to a far more sinister presence lurking nearby. Enter the forest assassin. This cloaked man boasts about his magic beast, Steeker, claiming that a single scratch from his venom-coated blade is a guaranteed death sentence. But something is wrong. The monster is suddenly sluggish and failing, leaving the assassin confused as he orders the creature to stop. Suddenly, a new power enters the fray. A stern, well-dressed older man arrives with a chilling demand. Where is his grandchild? A monster tries to mock him, claiming he fed all the brats to someone else. But the grandfather's aura shifts into something truly terrifying. He asks one more time, and this time, the monster is shaking in fear. The monster's laughter turns to a scream of pure terror. "They're all dead," he shrieks, just as a lethal, blinding blow descends upon him. Boom! A massive, swirling surge of energy tears through the air, obliterating everything in its path. With the monster shattered into pieces, the grandfather senses a sinister mana, wondering if he's facing a demon-beast hybrid. But he has no time to linger. Finding Lindaran is now his only priority. A tense encounter unfolds amidst the ruins. A white-haired man narrows his eyes with suspicion as a cloaked stranger calls out to him. Meanwhile, trapped beneath the wreckage, a girl clings to an unconscious boy. She screams into the void, her voice desperate as she begs for anyone to hear them. But they aren't alone in the dark. A scaly terror suddenly lunges from the debris, leaving the girl paralyzed with a scream of pure horror. Terrified but determined, she hugs Zeke tight, whispering a heartbreaking promise that she'll save him. She just needs him to hang on a little longer. Back on the surface, the cloaked man delivers a glimmer of hope. The white-haired man's grandchild is still alive. However, the sheer amount of rubble means a rescue will take time. Sensing their exact location, the white-haired man doesn't waste another second. He summons a monstrous force of nature, the great Emperor Shikuin. With the scout snake recalled, the fiery beast lets out a guttural roar. It's time to clear the path, and it's not going to be gentle. A colossal explosion of fire erupts, incinerating the debris in a blinding flash of heat and raw power. Inside the chaos, the girl is stunned. The flames are raging everywhere, yet they stop perfectly at the edge of their protective bubble, burning only the rubble. As the smoke clears, a familiar face appears. Grandpa! The two collide in an emotional reunion, tears finally breaking through the terror. A desperate plea for help. A young girl clings to her grandfather, begging him to save Zeke, who lies unconscious after risking everything to protect her. The situation is critical. Zeke is deathly pale, and the urgency sets in. If they don't start healing him immediately, it might be too late. Every second counts. The grandfather makes a sudden, high-speed exit, leaving the others behind to ensure the necessary help arrives in time. 5 days have passed. Zeke awakens in the serene halls of the Great Temple, disoriented and wondering where he is, just as a familiar voice calls his name. Total chaos ensues as Eni lunges at him in a burst of relief. She's so overwhelmed with joy that she nearly crushes him in a hug, only to realize she might have gone a bit too far. Eni reveals she's at the temple to study healing magic, but it wasn't her who saved him. The head priest arrives, reminding Zeke that his wounds were severe and that he needs absolute rest. The room fills up as Lindaran and the grandfather arrive. Suddenly, acute rivalry sparks between Eni and Lindaran, both fighting to prove who took better care of Zeke while he was out. But the real hero is the smallest one of all. Zeke learns that Fios saved his life by plugging his wounds to stop the bleeding, leading to a heartfelt, teary-eyed thank you to his loyal partner. Eni can't help but point out how much Zeke dotes on his slime, but Zeke makes sure everyone feels appreciated. He holds Fios close, vowing to strengthen their bond even further. Looking out over the temple, Zeke feels an unbreakable resolve. With Fios by his side, he knows he can face any challenge, even if that partner is currently trying to tickle him to death. The investigation into the kidnappings reveals a chilling detail. The attacker left no body, only strange black crystals. The only real clue? A mysterious cloth with a red crest found in a hidden room. Oik returns to work, apologizing for his absence, but the woman with glasses quickly puts him at ease. Even the stern Medwa couldn't stay mad given how close Zeke came to death. To break the tension, Zeke offers some cookies, causing the woman to stumble over her words. Behind her fussing and warnings to stay safe, it's clear she's just relieved he's okay. But Zeke didn't just come back to apologize. He has a plan. Orenz asks why he wanted to meet, and Zeke drops a bombshell. He has two proposals that could change everything. Doesn't hold back, demanding control over 2 more districts under his current terms. Orenz's brain practically shuts down as he does the math. This would give Zeke the salary of 9 people. The mood flips instantly. The woman slams the table in a rage, calling the demand outrageous. To her, there's absolutely no benefit in giving 1 man the work of 9. Zeke counters her immediately, arguing that freeing up manpower allows for business expansion. And it works. Orenz sees the logic, leaving the woman completely floored that the president is actually considering it. Orenz realizes Zeke's slime is the ultimate disposal tool, efficient, clean, and complaint-free. The only risk is Zeke's health, but the potential for expansion is too great to ignore. Orenz asks for a bit of room to negotiate the pay, and Zeke agrees without a fight. But Zeke is playing a much longer game. His real target isn't the money, but the information brokering business Orenz will eventually start. Zeke's vision is clear. As the business grows, garbage collectors will become invisible fixtures of the city, the perfect cover for spying on nobles. To seize that power, he just needs to make himself indispensable to Orenz right now. The atmosphere is calm, but Zeke is about to flip the script. After the man gives him some breathing room, Zeke leans in with a look of absolute determination. He's got an idea to revolutionize the business. Intrigued, the man asks for the details. But Zeke isn't giving them away for free. He drops a bombshell. He wants something in return before he reveals his secret. Then comes the demand that leaves everyone in the room frozen in shock. Zeke insists on using the Merchants Guild's patent contract magic, a request so bold it's practically unheard of. The room explodes. Medwa is absolutely livid at the audacity, and the man questions if Zeke has lost his mind, but the boy doesn't budge. He makes it clear, this is no joke. Internally, the man is spiraling. He knows patent magic is an astronomical expense, and doubts the guild would even approve it, but he realizes that if this works, he'll be the one footing the bill. It feels like a gamble where the house always wins, and the man thinks it's basically throwing money down the drain. Yet, he can't shake the sight of Zeke's unwavering, serious expression. With a burst of confidence, Zeke promises he won't let them down and vows to dominate the entire area. The man can't help but smile. In the world of trade, sometimes you just have to trust your gut. The decision is made in a heartbeat. The president abruptly stands up, leaving a bewildered Medwa in charge of the store as he prepares to move. He calls out to Zeke with a newfound intensity. His intuition is screaming that this proposal is too big to ignore, and there's only one place to go. The Merchants Guild, right now. Zeke's face lights up with pure excitement as he agrees instantly. With the slime in tow, the duo charges forward, ready to turn a crazy idea into a reality. The destination is finally in sight, the imposing headquarters of the Merchant Guild. But as they step inside, the cold professionalism of the guild staff immediately sets the tone. Helfand doesn't hold back, delivering a chilling warning that Zeke's age won't protect him if his idea turns out to be worthless. But Zeke just beams back, completely unfazed by the threat. Enter the Vice Guild Master, a man of status and poise. Helfand introduces the boy as his employee, handing the reins over to the guild's leadership for the day. Shlone Maxeros puts on a polite face, but behind those glasses, he's already judging. He can't believe Helfand is covering the fees for a child, thinking the man must have gone soft. With a formal nod, Shlone separates the pair, leading Zeke toward the back rooms. Helfand is left to wait, leaving the boy to face the guild's scrutiny alone. The atmosphere shifts as Zeke is ushered into a private chamber. Waiting for him is a man of immense presence, the one who holds the keys to the city's commerce. I am Fetz, the guild master. The introduction hits Zeke like a bolt of lightning, leaving him momentarily stunned. He quickly recovers his composure, but the shock is unmistakable. Now comes the real business. Patent contract magic. In this world, ideas aren't just written down. They're locked away by magic to ensure only the inventor and authorized users can access the technology. Fetz makes it clear that there are no handouts for children. The fees are high, and the standards are even higher. Zeke doesn't flinch, accepting the challenge with absolute confidence. The air grows heavy as a magic circle manifests on the table. To seal the deal and begin the examination, Fetz demands the ultimate signature, a single drop of Zeke's blood. While most adults would hesitate, Zeke doesn't even blink as he signs the document with absolute confidence. The room is tense, and a woman ensures every word is recorded, demanding he explain the contents of his proposal. As a man in a suit waits with anticipation, Zeke drops a bombshell. His proposal is about fire lizards. The revelation leaves the other men in the room completely speechless. Adults are reeling. They can't believe this child possesses the composure and attitude of a seasoned merchant. One man is so shaken he turns to his father for guidance, only to be snapped at for his indecisiveness. Just when they think they've seen it all, Zeke reveals he has two more ideas up his sleeve. The men immediately begin debating whether to split the contracts or process them one by one. Realizing they're dealing with a prodigy, completely captivated by the boy's brilliance, the man in the suit makes a shocking move. He offers to pay all the fees and asks the one question that freezes the air. Is Zeke interested in becoming his adopted son? The offer is far too bold, and while the man insists Zeke doesn't need to answer immediately, the boy doesn't hesitate. With a polite bow, Zeke declines the generous offer, leaving the man stunned by the rejection. Internally, Zeke knows the proposal is tempting, but his loyalty to Oren's and his merchant's intuition win out. He knows a wise merchant never bites the first bait offered. Accepting the refusal, the man suggests they go speak with Helfand. Mood shifts as a man bows deeply, apologizing to Zeke for his previous behavior. A woman steps in to smooth things over, asking for juice and urging Zeke to forgive him during this difficult time. As they prepare to continue, the woman notices a familiar, nervous hand-rubbing habit from the man in the suit. With a small smile, he suggests they resume their discussion over drinks. Returning to Helfand, the man delivers the final verdict. Out of the 3 patent applications submitted today, all 3 were approved without a single objection. Helfand can only stare in disbelief. A seasoned merchant is stunned. When 3 experts, including the strict Fetz and Maxaros, all agree on one thing, there's only one word for it: prodigy. Maxaros was ready to complain about poaching Zeke, but after seeing the boy's attitude, he's completely sold. Even as Helfand Kun questions the patent mediation, Maxaros is starting to feel grateful for the opportunity. A massive payout of $750,000 makes the risk worth it, even if it means facing Medwa's wrath. While Maxaros is pleased, Medwa just wants to go home and fix the business mess. Zeke is ecstatic, feeling one step closer to a peaceful life with Fios. But the celebration is short-lived as he sets his next ambitious goal: finding investors. Training begins with a strict diet. Zeke lays down the law for Fios, pointing out that while wood chips and bread are okay, nails are strictly off-limits. It works. Fios can actually distinguish between materials, and Zeke already sees the profit potential, using the slime to scavenge for hidden money in the trash. Zeke is absolutely enamored with his genius slime, promising Fios a feast once they strike it rich. But for now, it's time to get back to work. Zeke is called by the imposing Percival-san. Despite his nerves, he follows the man to a waiting carriage, ready for the next move. A flashback reveals a conversation at Percival's grand estate from a few days ago. Zeke is probing about the house's history as a merchant's residence, hinting that he has a specific request in mind. Zeke reveals his true motive: an introduction. Percival-san agrees, introducing him to his younger brother, the powerful chairman of the Hagias Trading Company, a man with the business genius that Percival himself lacks. Percival is in full boast mode, bragging about how he ended a war just by collecting heads. Zeke is completely captivated until a sudden violent force sends him screaming through the air. The ride is bumpy, and Percival isn't happy about it, demanding the driver be more careful. But as they pull up to a massive, imposing mansions, Zeke can only stare in awe at the scale of the place. Stepping inside the estate, Percival takes the lead with a confident stride. Zeke follows closely behind, his voice barely a whisper as he apologizes for the intrusion. Percival makes his purpose clear. He's here to see his younger brother. After a brief exchange with a maid, they are directed to the inner office, where a single knock signals their arrival. The door flies open to reveal a man who greets Percival with an explosion of energy and a bone-crushing hug. Between the gasps for air and the ouch from Percival, the younger brother quickly pivots. It's time to get down to business. Over tea and sweets, the atmosphere shifts. The younger brother leans in, curious about the business idea Percival mentioned. Zeke takes a breath, ready to reveal his vision. The pitch is simple but bold. A carriage with minimal shaking. The brothers are floored, but Zeke doesn't blink, explaining how the constant impact turns carriages into mere consumable goods that wear out far too quickly. The realization hits them. Reducing the shake means a longer lifespan and plummeting repair costs. Just as they start to see the gold mine, Zeke drops the real bombshell. He already holds a patent for a new shock-absorbing material. Skepticism kicks in. How could a boy this young hold a patent? Wilden wonders if he's dealing with a genius or a fraud, but a memory of his grandfather's advice on intuition stops him from dismissing the opportunity. Percival smirks, reminding his brother of their grandfather's wisdom. With a laugh, Wilden admits he never expected to hear that from him, while Percival proudly acknowledges the merchant blood flowing through their veins. Zeke's bold ideas have caught the attention of the higher-ups, but the final verdict is still hanging in the balance. He's told his actions are interesting, but for now, he's left to prepare while they deliberate on his proposal. Back at home, Zeke is enjoying some well-deserved downtime with his slime, until the peace is shattered. Annie bursts in with a loud question, wondering why he's just lazing around in the middle of the day. It turns out Annie is on her day off from the Grand Temple, and she's not about to let Zeke waste his time. As they settle in, Zeke turns the conversation toward what's actually on her mind. Zeke reveals he's searching for someone in the slums, though he lacks a name to go by. He asks Annie for her help, and despite the vague request, she can't bring herself to refuse him. Point. Someone capable of turning a spider into a monster. Zeke explains there are 3 such people, and while Annie handles the search for 2, he reveals he already knows where the 3rd is. Though it's a complicated situation. Deciding to handle the situation himself, Zeke heads out alone to a specific house. He calls out to Jolio, asking if the preparations are ready, but the atmosphere feels heavy. In his mind, Zeke maps out the players. 3 spider contractors in the slums. While Annie hunts for the nameless ones, Zeke has come specifically for the resident of this house. The door swings open to reveal a man who immediately demands to know who he is. Zeke recognizes him instantly. This is Judith, and he has a very specific reason for being here. Judith tries to shut him out, claiming he has no time for strangers. But Zeke drops a bombshell that freezes the man in his tracks. He knows Judith's brother is dying, and without help, there's no hope. Exploding in rage, Judith grabs Zeke by the collar, screaming that he knows nothing about his brother's suffering. But Zeke doesn't flinch. He looks him in the eye, and claims to know both the cause of the illness and the cure. One question turns the air ice cold. Do you want Shihara to die? The dark-haired man is floored. How could this stranger possibly know his brother's name? But before he can get an answer, a monstrous spider-like beast looms over them, its sheer size enough to make anyone freeze. The blonde youth can only stare in disbelief, wondering if this is some kind of sick joke. Then comes the punchline. He summons a tiny, unassuming slime. The dark-haired man practically scoffs. A slime against a beast like Jolio? It's suicide. But the youth is confident. Fios can do anything. And then, the impossible happens. In a flash of dissolving power, the worthless slime tears right through the monster's defenses. The dark-haired man's world is flipped upside down. What exactly is this creature? Despite the display, the dark-haired man isn't won over so easily, threatening to lock the youth out if he's just playing games. But the youth doesn't flinch, pushing for a chance to save the brother. A deal is struck. If he can actually do it, an apology is on the table. They step into the sick room, where the reality of the situation hits hard. Shihara is barely clinging on, his breathing ragged and his body consumed by a fever that looks far worse than expected. The blonde youth moves in for a quick examination, his eyes narrowing as he confirms his suspicions. The dark-haired man is desperate now, pleading for just one thing. The name of the illness killing his brother. Magic attraction syndrome. The name means nothing to the brother, but the youth doesn't waste time on definitions. While the clinics gave up, he drops a bombshell. This incurable disease can actually be cured. The secret lies in the bond between contractor and beast. When a wounded beast is summoned, it drains the contractor's magic to heal itself. A parasitic cycle that has been a death sentence since ancient times. Until now, solution isn't a medicine for the man, but a potion for the monster. To save Shihara, they have to treat the magical beast first. The game has changed, and the cure is finally in their hands. Zeke pushes for a risky move, giving a potion to a magical beast even as the blonde man warns that recovery magic has already failed. He doesn't waste a second, waking Shihara to start the process. With a firm drink this, Zeke forces the medicine down. Shihara stirs from his slumber, dazed and coughing from the bitter taste, barely recognizing his own brother. As Shihara begins to recover, Zeke asks for the one thing he needs, the summoning of Kapuri. In a flash of light, a fluffy bird-like creature appears, bringing a sudden burst of cuteness to the room. After a brief introduction between the blonde man and Shihara, Zeke gets straight to business. He has Shihara feed the potion to Kamuri, hoping the beast's reaction will hold the key. The results are unclear, but Zeke promises a delicious meal to keep Shihara's spirits up. Surprisingly, the blonde man decides to stick around, keeping a close eye on the situation. The atmosphere turns heavy as the blonde man leads Zeke away, accompanied by a massive, intimidating spider beast. He stops and looks at Zeke, his voice low as he recalls the boy's name. Suddenly, Zeke collapses into a deep bow, his voice trembling with gratitude. He pours out his heart, admitting that no one, not the clinic nor the temple, actually cared for Shihara. Stunned by the sudden display of emotion, the blonde man accepts Zeke's apology for his earlier rudeness. But the reality hits hard. More potions may be needed, and Zeke vows to find a way to pay for them. Confused by the help, Zeke asks what the man could possibly want in return. The answer comes as a total bombshell. What I want is you. Onk's brain practically shorts out, imagining the worst possible intentions, until the man clarifies he's after Zeke's abilities. With a promise of a job to escape the slums, Zeke's panic turns into pure relief. Driven by a desperate hope to save his brother, Zeke makes a selfless offer to help for free. But as the days pass, the quiet rhythm of preparation begins, hinting at a plan unfolding behind the scenes. Unni notices a change. Zeke is becoming frighteningly efficient. While he attributes it to the solitude of his past life, the real victory is revealed. He's successfully recruited both spider beast tamers. A sweet moment of gratitude with Unni is suddenly interrupted by a sharp knock at the door. Opening it, Zeke finds Judith and Shihara standing there, their expressions heavy with emotion. The atmosphere shifts to pure relief as Judith bows deeply, overwhelmed with gratitude. The miracle is real. Shihara has fully recovered, and the debt they owe Zeke is immeasurable. But Judith isn't looking for a simple thank you. With a sudden solemn movement, he draws his sword and offers a knight's vow, pledging his very determination to Zeke. This is no mere promise. Judith explains that a magical knight's vow imposes absolute unilateral constraints on the one who swears it. With total seriousness, he begs Zeke to accept his sword. Zeke realizes the weight of the bond being offered. Accepting Judith's resolve, he gives the final instruction: place the blade against his shoulder. Magic flares as the vow is sealed in a burst of light. Judith's voice rings out with absolute conviction, pledging his life and total obedience to his new master. A chilling glimpse into the past reveals the tragedy Zeke just averted. In his previous life, Shihara's death drove Judith to become the lone insect assassin, a shadow of a man. But this time, fate has been rewritten. Zeke accepts the vow, determined to guide Judith toward a life in the light rather than the darkness of assassination. As a strange new connection forms between them, Judith officially acknowledges Zeke as his master. A new partnership is born. Zeke beams with confidence as he tells Judith he's looking forward to working with her, sealing the deal with a determined smile. But the real warmth is waiting for him at home. The moment he steps through the door, he's practically tackled by his sister's overwhelming excitement. Ami and Kelly aren't just happy to see him. They've prepared a massive feast. Zeke's jaw practically hits the floor at the incredible spread waiting on the table. While the girls proudly brag about their cooking, the presence of Golze anchors the cozy atmosphere. After the kidnapping incident, this house has truly become Zeke's sanctuary. The house is suddenly full of life and laughter, while Fios the slime quietly helps himself to the leftovers. But the peace is short-lived, as the next morning brings a new mission. Enter Wham and Nick. Zeke greets the new arrivals with a friendly smile, but he's not the only one welcoming them. Fios and a massive spider are already on the scene. Time to get to work. But Zeke's instructions are unconventional. He tells them he wants boards made out of spider silk, leaving the recruits completely baffled. Alt breaks down the process, suggesting they overlap the silk between sticks. While the recruits struggle to wrap their heads around the logic, Zeke just smirks. He knows exactly what he's doing. Now it's time for the heavy lifting. Zeke calls upon Jolio, the giant spider, to step up and show the newcomers some real strength. Ios jumps into action, swirling into a whirlwind of efficiency to process the materials. Even the skeptics admit it's not bad for a first try, though Zeke isn't in the mood for any consolation. A girl decides to experiment with stone, attempting to create boards using a strange, stretchy material. Zeke watches with curiosity, wondering if such a method is even possible. The first attempt proves difficult, leaving them momentarily stumped. But the girl isn't giving up. She asks to try a different method, and Zeke readily agrees. This time, she's on to something. With precise movements, she transforms the material into a sleek, layered sheet, leaving the onlookers completely floored. She presents the final product with a proud smile. After a quick trim, the result is so perfect that Zeke can't help but exclaim how amazing it is. It turns out the secret was a simple memory of her grandmother's sewing techniques. Overjoyed by the success, Zeke praises Wham and promises her a well-deserved bonus. A few days later, Zeke finds himself at the Hegius Trading Company. The timing couldn't be better, as a businessman reveals his keen interest in investing in the aftermath of the recent carriage incident. Zeke presents a sample of the new material, and the man is immediately intrigued. As he touches it, he's baffled by the contradiction. It's hard, yet soft, and surprisingly resilient. The reveal is a shock. It's spiderweb. Zeke explains his vision to use the material to absorb vibrations in carriages, promising that more variations in thickness and resilience are already in the works. Impressed, the businessman offers to connect Zeke with a highly skilled and discreet artisan. It's the perfect opportunity, and Zeke shakes his hand with genuine gratitude. The crescent moon hangs high. Zeke finally returns home. He quietly watches over the sleeping girls, a moment of peace after a day of strategic wins. Phew, what a day. Zeke finally collapses, letting out a long sigh as he reflects on the whirlwind of events. Between securing a patent contract and unexpectedly gaining a loyal knight in Judith, the wins are piling up fast. Momentum is unstoppable. With Wilden's investment and progress on the spiderweb commercialization, The dream of building a carriage is finally within reach. Zeke can't help but smirk. Everything is falling perfectly into place. A quiet moment of gratitude with Fios is suddenly shattered. Just as Zeke is laughing about their teamwork, a couple of strangers cut in with a question that stops him cold. Who exactly is he? Air turns suspicious as they point out his unusually close bond with magical beasts. Zeke decides to ignore the mystery for now. His mind already racing toward the grueling training Gulsason has planned, and the business empire he still needs to build. As the day ends and the room goes quiet, Zeke holds Fios close, feeling a surge of absolute confidence. With his loyal slime by his side, he knows there's nothing he can't achieve. Tomorrow, they go even harder.